What up, John? I have a confession. I was smoking, and I forgot I was streaming. How far are we? Set 18 minutes? Sorry, guys. I was like, I was literally watching it, so I was listening to the music. But then I was just listening to music. Oh, looking at Twitter. Anyway, so, what's up? Oh, I can't minimize that. Let me open some posts. Gonna talk about some earthquakes, past, present, and future, perhaps even. I don't know. I mean, that's the objective, is to see patterns enough to actually see a next step in the pattern, and then, like, okay, that's the pattern then. Pretty much. Like, that's, okay, that pattern that I thought maybe I was seeing is really a pattern. Let me, and then, like, keep going from there. That's kind of the hope. I don't know, that's probably everyone's hope when they try to do this, is to see something in the way they happen. But I've found some pretty good stuff. This one is not that important. This one, well, it's important, but not that long of a thread. Okay. Let's open this whole thread here again. I've been posting on a thread for my last video. I should turn my mic down. I know. I listened to the last episode. I was clipping. I was clipping. It's like, oh shit, man. I talk so low, but then I put the mic like right here. Oh. Sorry, guys. Okay, I think I got one more post somewhere. I think, yeah. Yep. This one, okay. Make sure that's it. Here's another one, actually, I think. Oh, this is that one, okay. Cool. Okay, before I do anything, might as well check the earthquakes. Holy shit, dude. Oh, dude, I literally believed it. And then I saw more. I was like, we just had 8.5! In 1843, yeah, we did. I forgot I was looking at this, trying to look at patterns. I was trying to find patterns. I found some cool stuff. Let's open a new one, though. Okay, more reasonable. I was like, whoa, dude, no way. That would be nuts. Okay. So, last I saw was that one, maybe. Okay. Still popping off over here. We're definitely gonna look over here. Still popping off. I guess I can do this. It's nicer that way. Some ways it's actually better without anything but the data for looking at patterns, but holy crap. Let's go back in time until we can get, I think the 8.5 there it is, or 8.8 is there. So many right there. Really nothing else there. That's interesting. Like that it's space compared to these. Almost like this area takes higher energies to even influence, maybe? Maybe? And maybe other places that similarly would require like a stronger earthquake to really reach it. I don't know. That's probably not like long term what's going on here. It's still pretty empty in certain areas. Here too. This looks kind of like a wall then. Like an actual boundary that the pressures that are involved in this are really not able to get through very easily, and a second wall behind it maybe that maybe generally cuts here. Either side of this, both sides maybe, where that was actually within the band somewhat, although it's possible it could like thin as it approaches this. Okay, so major quakes I noticed in the last 24 hours of like interest were this one here. Whoa, it's like the eyeball of the snake head. Like eating an egg kind of thing. A huge egg is just fucking eating it though. crazy. Anyway, but let's find its magnetic anomaly. 40.5, 77.3, 40.5 north, 77.3 east, so 77.3, 40.5 on here. Check it out. I don't know if we'll actually have any magnetic anomaly here. 40.5, 77.3. Okay, here. So around this thing, which is in this path, which narrows over here, narrows over here. And generally along this boundary. Where was it? This thing. I was thinking maybe more along this margin that was here. Or else more along a path that seems to be across this way kind of thing. I guess it's generally there, a little to the north, but it seems more related to the currents up here that I believe it's so hard to say. I'm trying to use the earthquakes as a basis based on their like sequence to infer directions of flow, like especially where it seems like there's one current and another that then causes a quake and it cuts through and basically becomes the dominant current in a sense, and then more quakes happen maybe because it's like the other current's like what the fuck struggling to get through, but the other current like carved a path. So they basically, my interpretation is there's interacting currents that then are not eternally stable in their states, like they change as the energies of the earth change, and then at times can lead to earthquakes, but that the sequences are actually worth like acknowledging. So let's actually check out some stuff. So last night, or July 31st, I guess, so on the 30th, is this post. Let's see, this post is on the 1st, and then that one, the 2nd. So I'll do them in order. And I'll start again with here, so anyone, I'm sure you guys know about this earthquake, but just generally, I talked about this in my last video. So quickly, these quakes are transitioning further south along the margin, and this seems to have led into one much further down the margin, this one. And I was thinking, before this one, which was at the time just happened, before it happened, I was thinking maybe this was leading down here, and maybe it would do something like an earthquake in this area, and then I refreshed and it was there, so I was like, okay, it seems like there is something going down here. So then I started thinking, well, maybe over here, based on the magnetic anomalies, not just this, but based on this, where it's like following down here and then running into resistance. So this being a location where it seems like there's a common tendency for earthquakes to happen by running into resistance kind of things, and maybe if there's like enough flow getting through, it will run into resistance up here because that's just naturally how it tends to be yellow, especially, yeah, because this is going this way, and it's basically being shoved to go straight across. So this is current from the mantle puncture hole, where Earth was attacked by a vortex weapon in ancient wars of the Mahabharata, where ancient Dwarka was attacked, and a vortex arose, blanketing the region with billowing dust, and then ancient Dwarka was sunk beneath the sea, leading to the global flood. And the process is imprinted in the earth in both its geological structures of like satellite imagery and like rock data, and in the magnetic anomalies, where the magnetic anomalies are more undercurrent based of what's went on underneath the layers deep down, where the mantle was punctured by this vortex weapon, bringing space into the earth, essentially. But then that ends up being a major boundary here, where current flows over this way and reaches over here to the general region where these Kamchatka earthquakes have been. But then this lower boundary, so that's like an upper boundary relative to this like hard wall of magnetic anomaly, where blue is low intensity, where current can flow, and pink is high intensity wall structures that are built underneath the crust, as basically pathways where current can flow, and then mounds that are compressed by the current flowing, that are all shaped by the process, that then lead to lots of nuances that are all overlapping but visible. And so there's this boundary here where current's flowing relating to Kamchatka, but it also, if it essentially it goes to Kamchatka, where this is where the 8.8 was, right here on this map. It was on this thing, like right here. Let's just make sure I'm remembering that correctly. 52 north, 52.5, 160.3. It's 160.3. 52 something. 0.5. Yeah, so like right there, interestingly, right at this freaking massive magnetic anomaly spike. Like a current maybe went into it and up along it in a manner. Like it's not, this is height scale, so I could like really make it huge. But interestingly, it happened at that one. Whoa. I usually look at the one I just had it on. But it happened at this one, interestingly. Whoa. This really seems like it reveals walls. I wonder if that thing I just called like a wall. It's not very tall. Maybe it's more a wall because of like pressures. Her current is, it seems like, this is one thing that I noticed today that I think is worth really taking into account, is that current seems to be flowing this way and around and then up and then back in and like looping generally around this region, which is where like the Siberian pole is something. I don't know. Some magnetic anomaly in a, like, the magnetic pole is moving towards it. Stephen Burns talked about it today. He's definitely talked about it before, and I've probably heard about it elsewhere, but certainly him probably most frequently, if not the only person. I don't know. But that's where I was like, huh, wait a minute, this, because I'm trying to figure out where these currents are flowing. I'm like, well, is there an eddy here? Then essentially, could this be forming an eddy? And I started look because I was thinking it more so maybe it goes over this way, like goes across like here, but maybe it like goes here and then like has to go this way, but then it wraps back around and still goes through the same place it was going over here. So it's just like a bigger loop that goes more like over this way and back. So it's kind of elongated. But I think generally current is flowing counterclockwise. And it seems like there's a margin that generally goes here, but also it doesn't just go this way, but also goes up along this boundary and wraps around and then wraps along the edge here, or even like cuts through it a little bit, like right through here, following this, and then just right through generally there and just across to there. Has a margin of like the furthest out that it goes in that portion of the loop, where there's just a loop here, and then some of it goes across, actually escapes through this way to then form the Mariana Trench with a width up further. It's hard to see now. Oh my god, straightening this thing out is tricky. Okay. Then there's the face. There's definitely another eddy here. This one seems to be going this way, where it's going off of this. So an earthquake happened here in the past like day or two. Like right here, I'm like, okay. It seems like if we just kind of go across here, or across here, I guess. Essentially, let me pull up the posts. I don't want to be all doom and gloom or like, I foresee negative events. So I saw this one here, as well as that one, and this one here. This one is worth looking closer at where it is. And I said, these are doing that line towards Japan thing, where there's like a line towards Japan with a quake near Azores, which I haven't really seen any since I started looking, so I thought that was relatively anomalous. And another in Central Asia, like this. So this is the 2011, where I noticed there's just a trend of like an arc here, generally, with a trend including of over here that cuts across here, and notice like this area is where they meet, and it's along this line towards basically where the Japan stuff was happening. And then this is during the Kamchatka 8.8 the other day, where again This is for 30 days. Both of these are the previous 30 days of 4.5 minimum magnitudes. And then this one's Kamchatka's, where there's this line across. And I looked at other times. This data seems to be common. It's not like it's an indicator that I'm not necessarily saying it's an indicator that like a major 8+ kind of thing would happen in Japan. I'm just saying it's an indicator that there is some kind of process like this at play, and it's not like the best sign if like there's things going off along it, but it does seem more focused over here. It's almost like I was mentioning in my previous video, the Kamchatka quakes. If we look at them, then maybe we can look real quick at their sequence that I documented to the best of my ability. That they start up here. So the first ones before the 8.8, and once it became changed from 8.7, they moved down further and started to move down. So these are significant quakes on the 20th or further north. These ones, including the 7.4. And then the Kamchatka earthquakes are the 8.8, and they're all Kamchatka. The 8.8 earthquake was this one, and then the subsequent aftershocks were these two down here. So it basically moved down. And here's me circling that position on the magnetic anomaly map. And then the boundary from the mantle puncture hole we were just talking about, pointing to that location, as well as this other boundary over here. That points down to Japan and up that way. Possibly going up that way, possibly going down this way. I mean, it seems like it's going this way because there's so many earthquakes in Japan. Like, it's like a collision point of flows going down this way that just have nowhere to go, so they just push into the hard, solid material of the earth as like a way to vent the energy and to like continue the process of physics. Like, it's just like there's nothing else it can do but create earthquakes and possibly more, but like volcanoes. Here's the mantle puncture hole path up this way. Up here there's a 8.0 in that region. One of the few 8.0s in the history, really, in mainland Asia that are documented in recorded seismic data, at least, that are not like in the Ring of Fire kind of thing, but are mainland. And I noticed that they seem to be related to here in terms of being along margins like this, where it's generally pointing at it, where it kind of goes straight off of there, over there. And then the other boundary is, here's 4 earthquakes of 8.0 plus from 1940 onward that are in other than the Ring of Fire, and one is here along this margin connected back to the mantle puncture hole, and general current flows along it. It seems like there's bands of currents here that are crossing at the mantle puncture hole. It's not like the mantle puncture hole is doing it. It's just kind of like the focal point of the currents in this way. And then going this way, there's one, there's one, there's one, and then down along this path, down that way is another one, down here, showing they're all connected to the mantle puncture hole current paths, and then there's none in this region. In 1940 onward that it brought up. It brought up one that was like here at 7.9 that listed as an 8.0, but it's still generally in this region, which I said is maybe because it's in like a shadow of this wall, so that the flows here just don't pressure over here quite as much because they can't reach it as easily. These flows down this way are more so pushing outward. So it's more related to these flows, which are maybe just not as energetic and as able to produce earthquakes on their own without interacting with the main flows. Also, strange this is happening while an 8.8 happened. Two storms down here. Hawaii. Hurricane Iona and Tropical Storm Kelly. Let's see. I don't think it like interacted with Hawaii. Wow, it's going straight for the nose of the dragon. That's cool. Interesting. Oh, wow. Curious. Curious. Oh. Huh. I thought that was odd. Worth noting for sure. It's worth noting. I haven't seen anyone else mention those. So it's worth noting. I don't know. Certainly there's a relationship. I mean, energies between layers interacting. Definitely there's a relationship. I just don't know that that specific earthquake is specifically related, and it seems like there have been storms that drew out earthquakes in the past, but I don't think it's like that, although maybe given the circumstances, the storm's presence maybe was like a somehow able to influence the process enough to help it along creating the 8.8. I don't know. But then, what did I say here? July 18th to 25th. So these are 18th to 25th. These are 25th to 28th, which are the same area as 18th to 25th. Generally by this little thing in here and into that one. Same area. Same area. But then this is up to the 8.8. And then the 8.8 afterwards. Here's the 8.8. Everything afterwards. Clear transition. Southward. And then a boundary, which I thought was interesting, which is why I thought an earthquake maybe would happen here. Like, if there's a major earthquake and it's not Japan, I could see one, like, right around here. Not a good sign for the future in terms of Japan, but, like, I could see one, like a 7 point something around this area, just based on, like, it's trying to get through and it's running into some resistance up here. No other reason really, it's just trying to get through. Shit, dudes, I had Twitch stream only open. I don't know if anyone said anything. Sorry, guys. I don't think so. I didn't see anything pop up on the screen, but possibly. I can't see it if anything was said. Apologies. Feel free to repeat if there was such a thing. I'm just like, there was no such a thing. uh, and then one is that the propagating energies causing this all in the first place are meeting more resistance, having opened up space and reducing its pressure as a result, it met a more rigid resistance where the process will calm. I don't know what the hell I just said. How do you watch? I need to go back here. Since the 8.8, there have been over 100 aftershocks of 4.5 plus, practically every 5 minutes. At the time, it was practically every 5 minutes. These are maybe more like 10, but or more even. But it's worth noting they seem to approach a boundary and stop there. Let's think of some reasons why this may be happening. One is that the propagating energies causing this all in the first place are meeting more resistance, having opened up space, and reducing its pressure as a result. And met a more rigid resistance where the process will just calm, I guess. Hey. Me too, man. Oh my lord. I'm so well, I guess, dealing with mortality, I guess. I guess it is what it is. Dealing with like pre-mortality things, like shit. It's not like it's just like one day it happens. It's like a fucking process. Unless it just one day happens, but at least most people, generally, it's a process. At this point, even if it's abrupt, it was a process up until then. What am I talking about? Thanks, man. Appreciate the happy birthday. Hope you're doing well as well. I'm just I was late to the podcast, or whatever. Late to this, because I was sitting outside like I always do, and just fucking forgot. I could see me doing that sometime, like for hours on end. Shit, come back, but like, oh fuck. The end. Okay, before I just click through things, I got... What did I just do to even get here? Okay, I just scrolled ahead like a friggin' maniac. Or that the resistance is causing building pressures. So more reasonably in my mind is the resistance is there, so it can't get through very easily, but it's still coming. So yeah, right. That is quite odd. I'm glad you saw that. Nice. Cool. Yeah. I've been looking at earthquakes like crazy. A lot. found some cool stuff too, actually. That are mostly in these posts. So if you've seen these posts. But, my thought was, though, that the more likely thing is that it's just building up pressure into the resistance, so that there's some amount of resistance, but the resistance isn't like infinite, because that resistance is a function of its outward pressures, in a sense, how solid it is. Like if it's dense enough, it would kind of radiate enough that it would push outward. But I don't know if that made sense. I'm just like, is that so? Just total resistance. It would just be more dominant. Like a friggin' mass that would direct all the flows, I guess. If it was dense enough. And it just wouldn't be there in Kamchatka. That's not where that mass would be. So instead, it's some kind of like general resistance that can be overwhelmed with adequate back pressures that are seemingly building because they got through, but they got through with a lot of earthquakes and didn't just like relieve the pressure. It's still happening. Yeah. There's also bars. They're hard to see. I don't know if I didn't like document it when I noticed it. Like bars across though. Maybe some like I don't know if those are the places I was seeing it. It was more in like a single day's data where the quakes were like across, almost indicating there's like weaker versions of that it was more able to just get across, but it still like interacts with. And this is just more like it's almost like a roller, where this is like the 1 inch mark, and then it had like weaker lines along like the 1/8 or whatever, and then maybe even like a half that's more substantial than the others, but less substantial than the one kind of thing, where it has literally like a roller kind of nature to how the current pressures balanced and like took dominant paths and recessive paths that were kind of wave like in a sense. Maybe also maybe suggesting cross currents. I don't know if there's any indication of that kind of thing here. If anything there, I don't see it related to much. Maybe here. I gotta get rid of this scale, maybe 150. Then, okay. Another reason could be it's reaching an energetically unfavorable location in the magnetic anomalies of the Earth that direct undercurrents. The area itself runs up to a margin of a fracture zone suggestive a cross-current restricts free flow at this location. So there's the margin right there. I forgot I found it. It wasn't just like in the earthquakes, it was in the magnetic anomaly right there. Let's pull it up. No, I totally forgot. I missed it when I re-looked right here. Or was it here? Here. Like this is there, and then there's another one there. So maybe if it has like a strong quake there, it might actually quickly have a strong quake here because there's not much space in here, assuming it's kind of trapped. Generally speaking, the pressures are trapped in this area for some reason. It's possibly upside down kind of thing, upside down world where the currents are actually flowing like below this, and this is like protruding downward kind of thing from the bottom of the crust. So it's got like mountain types things downward, and then the current is more up on the bottom where it's flowing along the boundaries. I don't know. I think I've generally concluded it was a flat layer, and then anomaly upward stuff is almost like pillars in like a cave kind of way to support the upper layers. So I kind of leaned away from what I said before that. But maybe, I don't know. So maybe these over here actually are related to these like paths. It seems almost certain. Maybe Gackle Ridge. This is Gackle Ridge. Maybe it definitely goes as a boundary from Gackle Ridge, like generally straight down here through Mariana Trench down to the Ammonite of Australia. But maybe it also like bends and goes sideways and like wraps around this margin generally, but with enough oomph to kind of create straight boundaries there and here. Oh, that almost looks like it's one of these trident currents like branching off and going actually like up this way. Wow. Holy shit. There's so many like possibilities. In terms of what is happening. Something, okay, let's just keep going with these posts before I go just kind of talking about things and don't remember to talk about any of this. Okay, I think videos discussing, okay, that was my video, last video. This one just went past all the rest in the region as if a boundary might be experiencing higher pressure. So then the next thing that happened after that video, I guess, wasn't possibly very quickly after even. The next quake pushed the boundary. Or this one pushed the boundary, not the next one, but it went past where they all had been, which even had like an arc kind of thing. I don't know why that would be, unless it's running into resistance and like wrapping around it. But then kind of getting into it there. So it seems like this location is running into a lot of resistance. I don't even know if since then there's been much past there. And then here, I noticed the Afghanistan earthquake is generally in line to Japan with like this path generally. And since like not even like when this quake was there, I saw this quake over here and I was like, I think anything along this line is an indicator that there's a build-up maybe possible anywhere along the line, especially Tokyo and just generally Japan, especially. And then there were those quakes. They weren't like the most substantial, which is good because it looks fucking concerning. And then here's that quake in Afghanistan right next to this where the current comes down, runs into resistance, and just deflects two directions. Some of it seems to go down this across here too, maybe, but generally deflects back that way and over this way, and generally through here, off of this elbow, literally deflecting currents, and voila, there's that earthquake. So like, I don't know where Japan is over there maybe. Okay, then I thought, let me check out some of these earthquakes. This was yesterday, about 23 hours ago. 22 hours and 56 minutes ago, this post. The most recent earthquakes around Kamchatka have largely been centered along the middle band since the 6.1, which is this red X, except a few outliers, 3 and 4, opposite but further down as shown in fuchsia. So they're opposite but further down, as if generally pressure's down here. When this earthquake happened, it seems like in terms of the immediate effects in the front region ahead of it was opposite and further down, but also like trending backward, like it ran into resistance. So like it goes forward, it runs into resistance, and trends backward. But before that, I numbered these 1 to 14. 1, so after this 6.1, which was the largest like recent earthquake at that time in I don't know how many hours, possibly since the aftershocks, that the immediate two aftershocks that were like 6.9 and 6.4 or something, 6.5 maybe. Besides those, this was the next largest at the time, and so I thought it would be an interesting starting point, like going from here, because it's almost like things are calm, relatively. Things were calming down, and then this one happened, and then like it was the dominant quake in the general time frame, so it was overwhelming things afterwards, so that they were predominantly reflective of that quake, maybe, since it was the strongest, most recent quake with enough time for the other ones to not be the dominant ones anymore. Like the 8.8 wasn't still lingering energetically, maybe, or it was, but created it. But regardless, using that as a starting point, the next quake was back. So if there's some kind of build, like current flowing through, and build up a pressure at maybe this margin generally at the time. Let's see, looking at the magnetic anomaly map, if there's something like right at the tip of it. I mean, there's this. It's not as like defined as that one in this one, but it's there. And it's not quite added either, but it suggests maybe there's even subtler ones related to back here. Or somewhere else. I don't know where they're really coming from. I mean, it seems like they're part of the angels. This Shiva's trident, essentially. Seems like they're part of the trident. Which, Shiva being the destroyer, maybe not the best thing to be associated with, I guess. But then again, those are way more related to North America, I would say. As far as I know. Maybe I just don't know, though. Maybe they, like, wrap around the pole. Okay, let's keep going though. So then I numbered them. This is kind of what I was thinking. So this quake happens. There's back pressure from it, where it resonates generally. Some kind of compression of energy that then like pushes outward abruptly, in a manner that then pushes backward into the forward progressing current. So that then 1, 2, but specifically like the pressure flowing through is not along the margin per se. It seems to be more like down a central region. Seems to be where like when this flows back, even though it can flow into this forward progressing pressure, it tends to go more towards the side of the pressure, it seems, to then go over here more so, and 1, 2, but then it kind of reaches like a region where there's no more quakes, so it's another margin like down here, but in the opposite direction, where it's creating like a container. Oh man. Cool, I don't think you've shown me that one. Or you mean before the quakes happened, one of the videos? I'd have to look at it again then, if so. Shit. But I'll just keep talking in the meantime. But so then, it seems like over here, like it reaches a boundary, and then the quakes over here happen. I don't know, like if that where it kind of like pushes it back. So then the energies propagate back over this way beyond the initial quake. I don't know if that's like a tendency, but I would like suspect in the data there might be some type of tendency like this in enough earthquakes. I don't know if I've looked at your thread in like forever. Or is this like months ago? I don't think I've looked at it since you posted it. Like, if you've added, I don't think I get any notifications. Or they sneak through. I don't know. Well, I'll check it out though, for sure. If I remember. Feel free to message the link. So 1, 2 are back here, and then 3, 4 along the margin on the opposite side. Almost like maybe it went back and tried to come back, but like went around kind of thing, and along this way. But then it reflected back, and I guess maybe filled the pressure even, like over in this area and this area. We're starting to fill with more pressure, so that there was more forced interaction of the energies with this like through current. And so 5, 6, 7, 8, literally like one after another back through it, but across it even. I think I mean, this is just a green line I drew through. It's certainly not a tiny line either, whatever's happening. But there's probably like a highest energy pathing that's generally like most dominant and able to essentially encapsulate the rest. I know, it's freaking so slow. It's probably because I'm multi-streaming too. I think that slows it down even more. Then 9 though is back center, but center, which is interesting. I thought, like, this is a curious pattern. Quake over here, 1, 2 back here, 3, 4 in the front, but on the boundary. And then the energy 5, 6, 7, 8 back again, generally to this back here. And then center 9, 10, forward again, 11. And then back, but then forward again, 13. And then way back, almost like it's like filling the area with pressure on these 13 and 14 ones. Like it really, the whole area is full of pressure. So it did it at the kind of like boundary and the boundary along the flow. I don't know if this pattern has changed in any way since, or if what's going on. It's hard to like look at it because there's so many freaking earthquakes there. The data is out of control. Oops. I mean, it's just so many. Oh, they're not in that. They're almost hooking now. 1 day. 7 days. Pfft. They're all, pretty much all of them are 4.5 or greater. Like, very few can go off of this. Is there a way to draw a box without opening the thing? I found what these colors mean. Red is within the last hour. orange the last day and then other colors. It's like, oh, good to know. It's like, dude, you didn't know that. I'm supposed to listen to this dude. Funny world, There's a lot of quakes around this 6.0. Let's go newest first. Okay, zoom out. One up in Alaska. So this one, 5.2, pretty substantial, I'd say, like out of nowhere. Let's see, last 30 days. 4.5 or greater. So July 24th, my birthday, was a 5.5. July 14th, a 5.2. July 23rd, July 7. So they're pretty uncommon in this stretch. 19th, and then again today or yesterday on the Afghanistan one. 19, what was that? 9. This almost looks like it's pointing more there, these ones. The 11th, 15th, 11th, 13. This was all early in the July. First half of July looks like. July 4th. Oh, it's just related to fireworks. I don't know. Let's see what's up in this place. It's also scholar stones come from over here somewhere, maybe here. Somewhere over there. Lake Ty. It's gotta be. There it is. There. Yeah, there it is. This one. Not that that necessarily has any relevance. These are also pointing at it. July 24th, so these were the first half of the month, but that's pointing at it. July 25th, July 9th, July 6th, 23rd. Holy crap. Crazy. Let's see, this boundary is barely broken since July 31st, so there's one that broke the boundary. 29th. Might have been, there's the 30th, the 6th, 24th, 23rd. 1st, 27th. Definitely some down here after most of these happened. $29.3, 129.4. pretty much there. Maybe stuff generally going down this way. Is that where this line goes? No. I mean, this generally points at it. Or like this stuff can kind of go over through there. Then run into currents going along the margin and interact. Let me keep looking at these posts. Okay, so then I pretty much just went through those. I guess I drew on it. So then 1, 2, going back this way, 3, 4 over there, 5, 6, 7, 8, going back that way, and then 9, 10, 11 going forward. I didn't really catch that 3, 4 also. Kind of go back with the 5, 6, 7, 8. I mean, that's clearly a pattern. Like, and not a pattern explainable by plate subducting and energy. The tension builds. Tension builds. So the tension builds. And the plates subduct and they slide, dude. Sometimes shit happens, bro. Now that don't explain this, bro. Maybe if it was like slow across millions of years. But it's like bouncing. It's ping-ponging. Ping-ponging. But not just ping-ponging, going like steadily in a direction. There's some rapid quakes this morning with a 6.0 involved after slowing. So they were slowing a lot, and then a 6.0 happened as the second one. So like this was the only one. These are not there. This one, 30, 40 minutes almost. They were like 5 to 15 minutes for a while. So 40 minutes is a lot slower. But then that one happened 2 minutes later, 6.0, and then they rapidly happened, I noticed. Which makes sense in general, but I just kind of noted it. Also, and I guess it's these ones, the red ones. I don't know which was which, but... And then I drew this circle thing, or basically possible currents looping around here, where it's going up here, but also going up across there and down, and then also going more like across at this margin, although I drew that actually seemingly nonsensically. Unless it's an internal current, I guess. Maybe one doing more like this. Like the big one that went around the terminal. Shallogram had similar features, so this one's at at the pole. So really, this terminal is kind of at the pole, like in reality of the Earth, where this one's like off the edge of the pole. I thought that was interesting enough to be like, Even though I've generally been like, okay, this is pretty much like Earth's terminal right here. There seems to be like a recessive one here at least, or something. Or even like a future one. I don't know. Okay, then I said they're doing that line towards Japan thing. Okay, then we got through that one, I guess. Which is this one and this one. And this one. 6.2 last night on the 31st in the morning, so on the 30th. One of the largest since the 8.8. I think this was downgraded to a 6.1. I believe. But it was pushing the boundaries, as I call it. Seems a lot of last night's quakes were along the outer perimeter. So what we just saw were like down the middle. And then I don't know if yeah, I just generally did that there. I think I posted this before I made the other post. But I don't know why I'm not actually marking them, I think. They're the yellow ones? I don't know. But that's not... I don't know, some reason I said they were more near the margin. And then a 4.1 over here. Generally indicating flow from Kamchatka is reaching Japan, is what I said. Like, this suggests whatever's going on over here is managing to defend some energies to the region of Japan. Or otherwise this would probably not have happened, is what I was saying. That is further suggested by these quakes over the last few days, where the region was quieter. Southern and northwestern quakes are this one and these two, I guess. Where this one is July 31st. July 31st, July 30th, and July 29th. Were these three. And then, I guess this was the 30th. The 30th, so in the midst of that. In the midst of these, suggesting again it was getting through over here. Another quake in Japan. I don't know why that is what I'm saying when this is not about that. Oh, here it is. Meanwhile, another earthquake, oddly around Greenland. Let's see its magnetic anomaly map position, because this is relatively useless map. And there it is at this margin back to Sandpoint, basically. As the other one was, which is this red dot here on the 15th of July. Was here, which relates back to Sandpoint as just like an alternative pathing. That's part of that loop around the terminal, where this is more of like an off ramp. And then I displayed my ridiculous ego. And meanwhile, still I don't know, something happening here in Los Angeles region, a 4.3 an hour ago, and then I saw recently there was one a little further eastward of here a couple hours ago, which are at the convergence of several features in the Earth's magnetic anomalies, including the Murray fracture zone. So this thing keeps coming up in these earthquakes. Specifically, which I recently noted to be associated with two odd Pacific quakes. And then here, so again, just like in the Kamchatka Peninsula, there were quakes, and then it seemed like there might be southern progression towards Japan. There were quakes along the Murray fracture zone westward, and now there's this quake here, so I thought maybe eastward motion along the Murray fracture zone, as well as northward from Fiji, where it originates, I think. Also, this volcano erupted, and this page is gone. What the frick? I'm pretty sure it's like a real eruption. And like, yeah. Yeah. Eruption at this volcano. Just inward from this third nook. Do I have Earth open? Oh, it's like at the frickin'... like, whoa. Dude. BJ! Hell yeah. Are you from Fiji? I've never been to Fiji. It seems nice. Its magnetic anomalies are incredible. Fiji, and then next to Fiji is what I call the focal point of the global flood and Earth's expansion process, where a angel in the currents formed, like a snow angel that has a trident, that then one of the paths goes up to the center path, goes up to this point, and then breaks this way to go over to where we're looking at, where this quake was, wherever it was along this path. Which is also at another margin. And then there's also in the magnetic anomaly map like a current, large channel kind of feature in this area of California. I don't know what to make of it exactly. Like the way it's got a wall, and then a boundary, and then like this. This kind of suggests two directions of current, where like maybe this one's going this way, and then another is going this way, and it runs into it and shoves it this way. Or maybe like they're vibrating. There's multiple directions that are going around each other. I can't do it. Like a thread. Like fabric. Interesting. This even seems to be kind of closer related to this down here. I feel like this is a batholith. And then I think this is the Sierra Nevada batholith. But I always thought they were closer related. This one almost looks more directly in line. I don't know. Let's keep going now. So there's this quake of 4.3 in Los Angeles. That was just on the 31st. About noon Eastern, 1 Eastern. And then another quake in Japan, 4.8 at 336 kilometers depth, I noticed. This one is on the southern boundary of the mantle puncture hole related undercurrent band I mentioned prior here. So here's where the 4.8 was right there. Sorry, my mouse is probably like impossible to see sometimes. I mean, just kind of that it's not stable. It's like an uneternal state. It's just change is inevitable. Maybe it was like made it that way. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's like all psychological and none of it's real unless made real. I don't know. I don't know. I did it. Fuck, did I do that? I feel like Steve Urkel so many times. Did I do that? Create your own reality. Fuck. Shifting energy. So then I said maybe energy is shifting. Like the way those earthquakes that we're looking at after the 6.1 or 6.0 kind of bounce back and forth with especially 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 ones. And then 9, 10, 11 as well going the other way. It all seems like maybe in the same way as there could be like a 1 in the ruler near off of Kamchatka to that boundary around here, that maybe there's even more 1 from the Kamchatka to Japan, and then there's like that's what was I saying? Where it's shifting, I guess, like it's shifting from 2 endpoints, between 2 endpoints. So it's shifting from like I don't know where that post is. Here we go. Shifting like this, but where this is like Japan and this is like Kamchatka, but like still kind of doing this where like a lot of them are over here and then they kind of shift over to Japan. It seems like the 2011 quakes in Japan were Japan's turn, and then they shifted to Kamchatka, but now they're shifting back. And maybe not even like rapidly enough where there'd be like immediate effects in Japan, because that was 14 years ago. So it may be like a shift that's not remotely on the same time scale as this. But maybe also quicker than 14 years. I don't know. It seems quite active. Stefan Burns showed planetary alignment upcoming. Like a major planetary alignment stuff, which, you know, in terms of almost like putting magnifying glasses one after another and focusing a beam of energy into the planet itself. It seems maybe that's at play when things like that happen. Like there's just higher subtle energies into the Earth's like undercurrent pressures that then need to like flow at higher velocities effectively, that lead to more turbulence and then lead to like extreme energy releases due to pressure building up in certain circumstances where it just builds up and builds up. But it seems like maybe shifting over here. I don't know. Just maybe not to an 8.8 is what this one was. Where was that other post? Oh yeah. And then while quakes were slowing, I don't know. Planetary alignments during March 2011, let's say. Interesting alignments were visible. Mercury and Jupiter were visible in the western sky after sunset early in the month. That's not alignments. What the? There's no like chart. Like image, I guess. I mean, this is probably understandable that people. I don't know what the hell it's talking about. I'm just looking for a freaking like the planets and where they're positioned. I don't have an app to like scroll back. There's probably planets in past app to view. I don't know. Sky view, maybe that. I was hoping for it in browser. Just click and see. I don't know. But this is crazy. This is like, it seems completely like rare. I don't know. It just seems super rare. Super rare. Stefan Burns talks about it in several recent episodes. I would say just check that out. Let me see if I can see. Even the video, he talks about it pretty regularly. Live. Live, the sun is reawakening as legendary August 8th planetary alignment 8-8 approaches. That video, he talks about it. Actually, I guess I can just click it. What am I talking about? In this video, let's just find the alignment, I guess. He says, is Japan next? Here's the alignment. There it is. Earth, Mars, Saturn, Neptune, with like other aspects involving Uranus and Jupiter and Venus, I think, is like, these are all within 1 degree of each other even. Like it's a very precise alignment. So I could see this playing into it. In terms of what's going on now. But I looked at the 2011 quakes when things were just slowing down. I'm like, I need more data. I need more data, man. I need more data. Whoa, what the fuck? What the fuck? Bro. I'm like, did they just nuke New York City? What the fuck is going on? I mean, that's 12 minutes ago. New York City earthquake. 4 miles. What the fuck? 3.6 preliminary magnitude up, dropped to 3.0. What the heck? Northwest of Manhattan. Let's check it out. 40.87, and when I say let's check it out, that means magnetic anomalies. I mean, it's gotta be like right here, right? Like right here. 40.87. $74.07. Right there. I mean, it's along this boundary. Which really does, like, connect back to the Pacific. It's just far. But when, like, things are building up pressure over there, I mean, I could see it kind of, like, finding a escape route that it doesn't usually have as much flow through, that then leads to a kind of low magnitude earthquake over here, I guess. At least for the time being, who knows what the hell earthquakes in diverse places is gonna end up entailing, if such a thing were to occur. But then I looked at him, I was like, that's interesting. There's kind of like a sword over here. And then interestingly, before the quake, before the 9.1 were the green ones. And then after were like more of a sword structure. It's almost like it had a path. And then this happened and there's like a sword there. I know it's kind of just fun and not fun. I mean, it's fucking sword relating it to a freaking tragedy, but it's just fun though still. It's a freaking sword there. I mean, maybe that one's a little cheating, but it could be a dagger. But then path across, so like here's where those earthquakes were. Here's a stray earthquake in the middle of China. Here's another one and another one. So if we connect those, like they pretty much go back towards there. And then connect back to these ones pretty well and generally to there. And it's not like there's like a plate margin that's like across here as far as we see on this map. But it seems to be so common that it's just kind of like out here, just not as potent. Arc. Then this is it. This is pretty exciting. So I was like, is there some way I can visualize this shit? It would be so much better. Like, something I'm realizing. I'm like, if I search for earthquakes from like 1940 onward or 1800 onward that are 8.0 and greater, if I just say search 8.0 and just fuck it, let's go back in time 1800. Like, there's not that many. And I could maybe do like this. Here, so like visually, do they follow a pattern? Is there something I can see out of this? Like they're over here, now there's one over here. It's 50 years later. But then there's another one right there within a week. Right next to each other. And then one down here in Tonga. And then one in China over here. Maybe. I don't know if I really looked at these ones. But essentially, like, it's hard to pick out a pattern without, like, actually going through them closer. So that's what I ended up doing here. Is leading into... I noticed on this... So I found this website. Where you can just play earthquakes. Which is what I wanted to do, so like you can kind of watch it. Like, is there flow? Is there a flow? It's kind of fast. I don't know if there's any way to slow it down. I can display the last 30 days. Almost need to just look here. I haven't actually looked at the last 30 days. Let's check it out. Maybe turn off volcanoes. For the time being, at least. So I feel like looking generally here is able to get most of the earthquakes. So it's kind of fast, essentially, is my point. It's hard to really even tell what's happening. So they're just happening everywhere, kind of thing. Oh my god, that was crazy. Whoa. Whoa, just watching over here. That's... Oh my god. Dude, that was kind of creepy. Like it moved down here too. It boom pops up. Like it's not happening, not happening, not happening. Kinda a little bit. Boom. Although it's related to over here for sure. So maybe we should pay more attention to Sandpoint. So nothing's going on really much at either of them. Stuff going on a lot over there. Japan had stuff going on first. Over here was kind of popping up. And not much had happened over here yet. And then Sandpoint goes off with a bunch of aftershocks. And then the first one goes off, that was like 7.4. And then it kind of slowed until the 8.8, and then holy crap. Kind of watch down here, I guess. It definitely seemed to increase, like, the rate that they popped up. Once this kind of blew up over here. Maybe not really. Not substantially noticeable. Okay, so let's check out what I actually saw though. Pattern along the margin leading into the Kamchatka earthquake. So, this concept of ping-ponging in this image here, ignoring these ones over here because I was just focused on this margin. In this image, the earliest earthquake is number 1, and then 2, and then 3, and then 4 and 5 next to each other, and then 6, which is the 2011 March earthquake in Tohoku or whatever. Thanks there, Pinkie Pie. Pinkie Pie always got my back. Pinkie Pie, Pinkie Pie, you. I should freaking bots. 6, 7, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I mean, I'm drawing it like outward and confusing myself a little bit, but just showing it moves up, back, up, back, up. Back? I don't know. Like it can't, maybe even like it moves substantially up. I don't know, like 1 to 2. Relatively short. 2 to 3. 3 to 4. Maybe kind of count those as 1 in a way. To over here. I wonder if this is like a Fibonacci distance. Like 1. Maybe from here over 2, 3, 4. I don't know. But, like, is that a coincidence? They're literally ping-ponging. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And these are the 8.8, and I think both of these are the 8.8. This app had some issues where it showed the same earthquakes more than once. I think because they got data from multiple times, the data was different enough that it counted it as a different earthquake, and no one like manually removed it. But so I went through instead of looking only over there, I thought, well, let's look at the earthquakes in this app. So this app starts in 1980. So I pull forward 8.0 and or 7.8 plus. These are 7.8 plus earthquakes from 1980 onward. The first one in the list is over here, around the Angel's Wing in Solomon Islands. The second one is over here in South America. The next one is in Mexico. And the next one is in Alaska. So what do we have? A kind of counterclockwise trend in these first four. These first four, which mind you are not like days apart. They're across these years. I don't know when they are exactly. Some of them I put the dates. Some of them are certainly near to one another in time. But this is the sequence and how they happened. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the next ones. Alright, I drew this kind of like pathing that I was thinking, well, maybe it goes off of this boundary and across, where the pressure got kind of caterpillar built up in this area, and then it broke through with this earthquake, and then it was able to progress over literally across here, where then it kind of built up pressure and got through after this earthquake to then build up pressure, get through, end up over here, build up pressure, get through, which is also Sand Point was over here, and then Kamchatka happened, so it's following this counterclockwise directional thing, and Japan is counterclockwise next. But then 3 to 4 in some manner, generally speaking. And then the next one was up here in this elbow, or in this armpit, I mean. Elbow. I guess elbow too. Armpit type thing. And then the next one was opposite. So 5 and 6. So it went around. And then it seems like maybe it kind of back pressured or something. I don't know why exactly it would do this. Besides, well, it's just not doing that. But there is no counterclockwise thing going on, and this proves it at the end. No, then 7, 8. So I did this almost like cross thing. Interestingly, generally centered on Hawaii, and the next ones, but I just kept going. So then 5, 6, 7, 8 go like that. When 1, 2, 3, 4 went around counter. So 1, 2, 3, 4 are counterclockwise. Then 5, 6, 7, 8 do like an X. It's kind of odd. And then 9, 10, 11 are generally counterclockwise here. 12, 13 still counterclockwise. So 5. So it goes 4 counterclockwise, makes an X, and then 5 counterclockwise. I don't know. What? Like, it's not really that random of a pattern. And then 13 was back here. So if we keep going, maybe the next in line. 14, 15. And then almost like it was exhausting. Like this eddy kind of filled the pressures to a point where it, like over here started to be like the main quakes, where it squeezed into the Sulawesi region. Like my thought is generally the current goes down here and runs into resistance and bends and goes along this way. But sometimes it has so much pressure behind it that it shoves it through, and that leads to earthquakes in this region. And if it gets through enough, it can lead to earthquakes in this region, as these are. So then we have 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and then 18, 19, so it goes back to the circle, or to the counterclockwise there. 18, 19, 20, up to the point there. 21, still counterclockwise. Just fucking crazy, dudes, right? Like, I never heard of this counterclockwise. I've already made a fucking major discovery right there. Like, what the fuck, dudes? Is no one noticing these things going counterclockwise? I mean, sure, I picked an arbitrary value of 7.8 magnitude, but I just made it big enough to be able to, like, see it in the data, I would say. 20, 21, and then 22 was down there. Also, maybe when this one happened, there might be one down here that I just didn't include, but it was the only one I didn't include because I physically wasn't looking at it when it popped up. I was like, oh shit, I forgot there was one down there, but the rest of them fit on this image perfectly. So, but yeah, 22 and then 23. So now we got some of this oddity where they're like it's going counterclockwise, but then it seems to be going in here and going almost clockwise. Notice this, what I'm doing here, right here. Like, if I move this off, like this kind of looks like a node, like a circle. Like there was an eddy here. I've definitely described it as having an eddy here. I think on a smaller scale, though, but now that I see it like this scale, generally can see like an eddy here would make sense. Where it essentially goes up this way and then continues here, and it's almost like a temperature bar increasing. As the temperature increases, like it starts moving the needle thing up the edge, and another one happens here, and then another one over here by Fiji, showing like the whole thing is at play. But also it's interesting, it's like kind of interacting with the Angel Trident region, which tend to be really deep earthquakes. The blue ones are deep, so I'm not sure why these aren't blue, honestly. That one, they tend to be quite deep there, I feel. Orange, I think, is intermediary, and red is shallow, like 30 or less kilometers. But then we have 24 where it tries to go up, but it maybe even like helps produce a current opposite. Kind of like makes me think of like Venturi effect or whatever. Like ways in which current is just finding a way through. It's by it flows down here. It wants to go this way, but there's pressure ahead, so it goes over here. But by doing so, it has back pressure that helps it go the way it was trying to go, kind of thing. So it it does something like that, it seems. 24, 25, and then 26 and 27. So notice we're starting to fill in those ones leading up to Japan's 2011 quake by like wrapping around, though. So we've wrapped around several times to fill in those dots over here. Like the first one goes all the way back to 8, to the X. The first one was part of the X. And then the next one was 11 at the end of this rotation clockwise, actually in the middle of it. And then we got it branching off into this area, branching off, extending back around the counterclockwise direction, back to over there by Japan, and then branching off in directions over here, I guess, and maybe doing that too, where it's more of like a exhaust route to go that way when necessary, from high enough pressures only. Otherwise, maybe it's more of an inlet path. I don't know. But then we have 23 over here, and then 24, 25 at Fiji, 26, 27 back to Japan, and then 28, 29, so it's going back in the circle again. So we had 28, 29, and then actually it goes back over here, so maybe there's pressure ahead where these quakes weren't able to open a path through. They more so created another like blockage so that then the path of least resistance was back this way again. So then 30, 31 happened. It seems like this is quite legitimate. 32. Now we got something interesting. What do you guys think happens? Oh. No, not quite yet. I think it's like 40. I think it's about 40. I don't know. 39 Fiji. I mean, that it goes to the focal point for 33. So it goes up here. Like it's branching up further. And then Fiji. And over here again. Almost like it branching up, relieve pressure this way, where it was able to kind of become flaccid, if you will. Like it was more directly flowing. In its like highest direct energy, it flows into Peru as a direct pathing, but it can kind of become weaker and flow further southward. And generally, when it becomes too weak, it, I guess, invites enough current back into the pathing that it doesn't stay down there, so it goes back up. But it seems like it flowed across here, created those, and then 35, 36. We've completed the back pressure zone loop, where it loops back to basically participate, I think. Like that it was able to open this path to a point where it actually got back to itself in terms of the energy flows by these larger earthquakes. Seems related to the Tohoku quakes. 35 and 36 there. And then 37, 38, almost like it's going out of this current, out of this thing. Like it reaches over here where it merges with the other one, so but it's still got like more current coming in here, but it essentially emits a stronger stream this way to then lead to these quakes. And then 39, 40 is one near Kamchatka, and then 41 over here. So that doesn't quite, it doesn't follow the counterclockwise or clockwise. It kind of is sporadic. I don't know how much time is between these. They might be, it might still follow it where it goes like 39, 40, 41, 42, with a like some delay between them where it's kind of looks less counterclockwise. I don't know. 44, 45, 46, 43, 43, 44, 45, 46. I also was thinking maybe it even like changed direction. I don't know. Like it's not always clockwise. It can like change directions just like the ping ponging. Which makes sense in terms of like thinking about Earth's changes in the magnetic poles and magnetic anomalies, and like the ocean's floor. Those ones that are more related to magnetic changes of the Earth, where the poles shifted, supposedly. That's the interpretation. Or maybe it's just kind of the current flow changes in direction around from clockwise or counterclockwise to clockwise. Maybe not even around the Pacific, but in a larger scale Earth system, but where it's all kind of just energies. Like in a water is kind of slushing in a tank that end up having many boundaries, like many tanks that then interact with one another and just create like way more complexity than a single tank of water can. Even just like shaking it back and forth maybe might, I don't know, I wonder if there's good enough experiments that could produce some pretty cool effects that would help visualizing aspects of this. I don't know. 52, 53, here's 51. 51, 52, 53. After, kind of after this. After it did the counterclockwise to the point where it created this back pressure zone to reach back over here and then emit out that way, it seemed to kind of be a bit confused. Like it's maybe not very counterclockwise anymore. And it's just kind of lower energy, so it's both. Just kind of going back and forth like the quakes were. But we still haven't reached Kamchatka. We're in like 2019 here, maybe, in this image. 47, 48, and then 49, 50. These are just relatively counterclockwise in this one. 49, 50, 51, 52. 52, 53, that's another like 6 years. Maybe not, or like 2 years actually. 6 years. 2 years, dude. 2. That's not even close to 6. 54, 55. So then we had Sand Point, I guess. I don't think that was. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There was another one near the Sand Point in July 2021. That one, not the one that just happened. That was still quite strong, like a 7 something. And then this one in the Caribbean and then the Kamchatka 8.8. Just kind of in a X type thing again. Makes me wonder what happened after the X I saw earlier. It just went counterclockwise. This X. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So it went counterclockwise. Oh yeah, I wanted to see like from what? From where, dude? 8. Nine, 10, 11. Kind of like opposite across. I don't know. I don't know if I'm missing any cool things in my text over here. No, I think I generally described it. Oh yeah, I'm even saying the same things. Cool. Oh yeah, and then here's the quake I missed. That was generally in like the same time frame as that one. So like super far this way for this one relates to super far that way. Where like this one and this one relate more so, like they didn't get as far up towards the pole. Seems like these two are related and these two are related. Cool. This is crazy. Oh my lord. Draw cross section. What? Open 3D view. What the? Wow. That's cool. Wow, I did not know. That was simple too. Draw cross section. I'm probably gonna head out shortly. I'm freaking tired. I've been going to bed a little sooner. I thought it just did like by the day, but it's definitely by the time. These two over there. Boop, boop, boom. Boop, boop, boom. Pfft. Crazy. Boundary. Cool, man. Thanks, appreciate it. Thanks for dropping in. Oh, I totally forgot there was one thing I meant to mention at some point before I forget it. I just saw the mantle puncture hole boundary. If I kind of zoom out, I guess, I feel like it goes down, up, and generally across here. In a way where, since it goes down and up like that, maybe it goes down and up some more. But where, essentially, I was thinking it went like down here through basically Shatsky Rise and Hess Rise, and then essentially joined currents here to go across and in to Bighorn Mountain. Okay, that's all. That's all. I definitely look forward to thinking about this some more. I saw all sorts of stuff, but I'm too tired to change the subject to that. That topic has some cool stuff though. Lots of stuff in terms of Okay, well, appreciate hanging out. Till next time, I guess. Oh, well, thanks, Windows, for your pop-up. Okay, till next time, I guess. See y'all soon. I guess. It seems like I'm gonna be talking about earthquakes a lot. I've kind of gotten more drawn to like, alright, guys. Alright. Let's see what's up. What can I get out of this data? Alright. Till next time. Pleasure as always. Thanks for watching. Wait a minute, you said that. Alright. Later. Later world in the future. Who's maybe there? I don't know. Oh man, it's weird.